only the best evening people around here. Hello, Adam. Welcome, and welcome everybody to the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel, where I guarantee we will not be streaming any anti-Semitic wizard games by English transphobes with way too fucking much money. Because A, fuck that, and B, I don't cross picket lines. I know that, making excuses for some sort of leftoid streamers to cross picket lines has become a bit of a fashion just lately. But, yeah, not my thing. Instead, I'm going to show you something different this time. I've never... because this game just is the most charming fucking thing I've ever seen. It's called Inkulinati. And the reason I've even heard of it, it's brand new, it's actually on early releases. Casey Explosion streamed it, like last week sometime. And I was just charmed by it. And also just Casey Explosion's just absolutely the most wholesome fucking stream ever. So what it is, as you'll see over the next half hour or so, is you're fighting in the margin of medieval manuscripts. Okay, we're gonna continue journey. See, my character is the alewife. Let's just make sure that crop's looking good. I mean, just the graphics, the sound too. There's something very ASMR about the sound. Here we are on the map. Today you will pass your final exam and become an Inkulinati master. Can I just say, as a Spanish and Italian speaker, that name hits a bit different because to me what I see first is inculo. Okay, just select the Wild Beast encounter icon. Tiny Inkulinati versus Wild Beast encounters are marked with a sword and quill icon. Okay, here we go. We're gonna have some wild beasts. I mean, and you'll see why I'm just charmed by it, I think. It's adorable. And extremely tactical, I would add. Okay, so here we are in the margins of a medieval manuscript. And I can draw my, little army of tiny Inkulinati. I'm glad. I just saw this and I thought this would just be a lot of fun to stream. Okay, so I've got... what do we want here? A spear with... is that the only place I can go with that? That's not a great place for it. But I'll start out. Start out here. How you doing, Adam? Okay, I can draw some more. And a bow-wielding rabbit isn't a bad one to have. This chest here, with the towels or whatever the hell that is. Hey, Haku, how you doing? Okay, now I can do actions, and I think one of my actions is going to be to move this shit. Which way do I want to move it? I need it to be out of the way of my bow-wielding rabbit. Ah, no, I'm good. Okay. Not bad. The, introduction to the Inkulinati translation has now been fully funded. So I've been working on getting the introduction, translated. That's probably going to be up on my Patreon as a public post sometime next week. And so I'm really excited about that I'm finally getting to start off on that. Also raising funds for Chapter 1. I've already gotten part of the way, as you can see in the little fund thermometer thing. The fundometer. Oh, I'm red, I'm not blue. Okay, that was confusing. I mean, I specifically chose this color, but I didn't realize it was going to change the color of my animals. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna fart. This is an actual attack. Apparently it was fairly potent as well. Add a little spear-wielding bunny. And now we sleep and gain a drop of ink. See, yeah, the amount of spear-wielding animals you can draw depends on the amount of ink that you have available. You're standing on this ink blot, that means you're gonna get some more ink. Okay. I know, it's great. It's just charming. I mean, I love the graphics. The audio could almost be like ASMR. These are the drawing. Oh, poor spear-wielding, bow-wielding bunny. Okay. There we are. Now I'm gonna walk over here. Now I can spear. Now I can do this properly. And I don't know if it's gonna happen in this, duel against the beasts thing. But... yeah, okay. Bye! Occasionally an apocalypse will occur, and you'll have, like, flames start showing up everywhere where your characters are. And you have to move them out, you have to move them out of harm's way. Apparently, this is on early release. So, eventually they are planning on making it, like, multiplayer and stuff. And sleep and regenerate ink. Can you hear the music and the audio of it? Oh, ink blots. Those are strategically valuable. Getting slashed by a sword-wielding dog, less so. That's not strategically valuable. There we go. Literally any hit's going to be I didn't have anything. I'm using a different sort of source for this. And it doesn't give me a real-time volume display, so I wasn't really sure. Okay, so I won that one. Oh yeah, and you have to combat the boredom of your character. Because the more bored your character gets drawing your army, the more ink it will take them to draw them. So you have to mix it up. I mean, there's all sorts of, like... the drawings are so simple and so cute, and it is also extremely strategic and tactical, this game. Okay, now we move on. We've got Medieval Yoda. Oh, come on, where's my mouse cursor? Your health drops to nil, the battle is lost. When you lose a battle, you'll be restored to full health and lose 1 quill. If you lose a battle and don't have any quills left, your journey is over. Inkulinati get tired of drawing beasts. Every time they draw a beast, their boredom level goes up. The higher the boredom, the more ink it costs to draw a beast. Now repeat. The Inkulinati, the higher the boredom, the more ink it costs to draw a beast. Alright, to decrease boredom, draw different beasts in your next battle. Fight a beast versus beast battle or visit the chapel. Got it? Yeah. Yeah, it's Medieval Yoda. Okay, so... Oh, wait, no, we're... Another wild beast encounter. I think I might get some new mobs this time. So... Oh, I keep forgetting. The default is your color is blue. So I keep thinking that those are mine. Those are not mine. Those are the ones that are going to stab me. Oh, that wasn't nice. Oh, congratulations! Where do you play chess? Okay. Oh, sorry about that. I haven't got Nightbot completely figured out. If you ever want a game, let me give you my chess.com username. You can feel free to challenge me. Ah, shit, not good. Oh, well, then I'll help you. See, the spear can go past obstacles like this annoying little barrel. Ah, I got a friend request, I see. Excellent. Oh, stop doing that, Sir Nigel. That's not very nice of you. This is a new game that I saw on Casey Explosion's stream recently, and I was just absolutely charmed by it. Decided I had to try it out. And I liked it, so I'm streaming it now. I figure mix up the games a bit. Done some chess, done some GeoGuessr. And this is just so delightfully weird. Yeah, I mean, the graphics are really neat. Okay, we'll sleep. And... we go. Yeah, you can boop them on the head, and it takes away a lot more of their health. Or you can just sort of push them over. And that ends this encounter. I may have lost, but I still brew the best ale of all. How'd you win instantly? What was it, the Scholar's Mate? Okay, yes, we're rematching. That's the trouble, your character is like the king. If they kill your character, it doesn't matter how good everything else is. You just lose. Was it? Oh, yeah. Okay, that's probably the Scholar's Mate. Boop. Yeah, that's a good one. Though, and there's a really popular... Oh, I love a good stout. Not the bullshit stouts that taste like somebody dumped coffee grounds in them. I don't know what the hell that's about. But, like, really nice stout, like a Guinness or a Beamish. Love that stuff. There's actually a really useful trap to know involving the 4-move mate you're talking about. Because if you face somebody who knows how to avoid mate, who knows how to avoid the Scholar's Mate, there's still a way you can potentially win a rook off of them. Hey, Ludlow, how you doing? Okay. And I believe... Yeah, chess is great. Well, chess is a game where, like, how long have you been playing? You're just starting, haven't you? Aren't you? Because you'll find there is a lot of really just basic stuff, like tactics, for example. Things like knowing about forks and skewers and that sort of thing. That... Yeah, that sounds like me, actually. I played a fair bit in school, but nobody ever really taught me it. And then I picked it up again in, like, 2007 or so. Registered on chess.com around then. And I had a couple of friends who, you know, sort of taught me some of the basic stuff. And my rating went up, like, 400 ELO points in like 1 month. Cook Exploder. This is a new one. Okay, we got the bow-wielding fox, the Cook Exploder. I like that. See, eventually, you get new Inkulinati. I've seen a 3-year-old on Russian television beat, well, not beat, but play a very strong draw against Anatoly Karpov, top Russian GM. The youngest Grandmaster, if I remember correctly, is Pragnananda. I think he managed his GM norms when he was like 14 or something. Okay, you will now visit a non-combat location. Here you won't face a battle, but a decision that will affect your resources. Hover your cursor over a location to view details. I mean, this is very... it's very user-friendly as well. Would you like some of my invigorating... Yes, I'd love to. Let's go for it. Go for an ale. You have reached the end of the tiny map. At the end of each map, an Inkulinati master awaits. Defeating them in battle will allow you to continue your journey. But first, you have to defeat me to pass the final exam at the academy. Most importantly, you need a large diversity of beasts. Always bring the maximum of 5 beasts with you. You'll soon be getting some new beasts, so plan your strategy carefully and watch out for boredom. Hey, Phoenix, how you doing? Okay, let's do it. We're gonna... show me what you got. Let's see. Spear-wielding dog. Sling-wielding creature. Have ourselves a... What is that? Sword-wielding fox or a spear-wielding dog? Spear-wielding dog sounds good. And blessing. Have some blessing. That gives people more accuracy and stuff. How you doing, Phoenix? I'm here to take the final exam. Okay. Get my beasts distributed. Yes, the bloating beast. Those you have to watch out for because they will explode. And let me see. Can I? No, of course not. But I can give a blessing to one of my beasts. And sleep. Never had the Cook Exploder before. Admittedly, I have not really played it. I've only had this game for like 2 days. Okay. Sievelid. Interesting collection of names these creatures have. Yes. Is this to do with, all the blatant breaking of the, anti-Semitic wizard game boycott? Oh, a stew catapult. I have to be careful with Gosaslav. Is the trouble with these exploding mobs is they also do damage when they die. Okay. What the hell is that? Yeah. It's amazing how many just little things like that can actually really improve your day. I find when I'm feeling really shitty, if I just make myself a simple dinner but do it really well, then I end up feeling considerably better. Okay. Oh shit. That's another exploding one. It's just all exploders all the time around here. Can I... No, unfortunately not. Oh, some of you have a certain aroma to you, though. Okay, here's one of these apocalypse things. See, if you're in one of the... Eventually, this will cover everything. And it will kill anything that is still there. So the key is you ideally just want to win before that happens. Wait a second, who am I playing here? Ah, hell no, not close enough. Now let's impale. Oh, it's true, people... a lot of people will resign in situations where, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, there doesn't really seem to be much reason to. Oh, well, that's nice when these things come early rather than late. Right, goodbye. Oh, finally, I can draw something that can shoot from a distance. Ah, more fire. Ah, shit. Okay, we have to beat the master. Before all this fire causes problems. A stew catapult. Oh, the master is... Rabbit fart. Okay. And here's where we win. I've discovered writing in third person, Phoenix Rising says, is a good way to show people how to use all my sets of pronouns. Yes, occasionally I also will do that to, like, if somebody's getting them wrong, to, like, correct them. I'll just to be clear on where they are. Take all. Oh, we get new beasts. Okay. The snail. I want the snail. Hand actions. Oh, hold on. Draw a barrel. Strike. Talents. Inky business. 2 drops of living ink at the beginning of each chapter. Every friendly handy business. Party. Look, there's Death, the oldest Inkulinati, and the Master's best companion. You watch as Death bends down for an abandoned stack, their scythe dangling dangerously close to the Master's neck. And then Death reaches for the snack, and the scythe delivers its fatal blow. Yeah, that probably would be a good idea. I mean, of course, I mean, on a certain level, it seems like that's self-explanatory, because, I mean, if you're listing any and all pronouns, then that's because the any and all pronouns fit in with who you are, and if you don't, then they don't. But, I mean, it's amazing how much people who want to overcomplicate it just so they can get out of doing it properly will overcomplicate it. Okay, I have to beat Death, apparently. Must set out on a master journey and defeat at least 3 Inkulinati masters. Only then will you be skilled enough to face me. I will be waiting for you on my farm. Death has a farm. In the meantime, I bid you farewell. Don't worry, there will be a resurrection. Bye! Change army. What have we got? Oh, yeah, let's see. Definitely don't want to go without at least one bow-wielding creature. Oh, and I want a cook exploder too. Those cook exploders are good value. Yeah, that's a fucked up sort of joke to be making about somebody, really. Okay. And what have we got? Lazarillo. Oh, I mean, I love that these are names from actual, like, medieval stories and manuscripts and things. No, I gotta walk a little bit, apparently. Oh. Oh, congratulations. Oh hell, that was I killed one of my own. That's not how that's supposed to work. Oh shit. Okay, so impalement goes through any of yours that are immediately adjacent. It doesn't go past them. So that's not great. It's called Inkulinati. It's a brand new game. It's on early release. I found out about it from Casey Explosion's stream. Ah, shit. Yeah, go right ahead and explain. I second Ledlow there. It's just absolutely just the charming game. I was charmed by it when I saw Casey Explosion streaming it. I just decided I absolutely had to get it. Yeah, I know. Because it's really not hard to find something to do that isn't fucking playing the anti-Semitic wizard game developed by the neo-Nazi and fucking profited on by the obscenely rich English turf. Yes, the snail just eats people. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to eat Robin. Yum. Robin is tasty. Okay, this is another one of these apocalyptic things, and when this actually gets colored in, you don't want to be standing by it or it'll kill you. Yeah. Like, I mean, apparently Hassan was on about, oh, I'm gonna stream it, but then I'll donate money to trans charities from the profits. It's like, that is like literally the sort of thing fucking celebrity liberals will say when Palestinians tell them not to play Israel. It's like, well, we'll do some like nice stuff for Palestinians too. It's like, no, what the people want you to do. Yeah, it's about fucking Hogwarts Legacy. Which, that game turns out to be even more anti-Semitic than it already sounded like on its face. Oh shit, okay. Well, I guess I win by default. And with that... no, okay, so the Jewish goblins, that are also bankers are like doing some are being outside agitators and fomenting an uprising. And one of the goblin or whatever the fuck they are implements that you can take, quit to menu, is a literal shofar, a Jewish liturgical instrument. I mean, it's fucked up. It is fucked up on so many different levels. And then on top of that, you buy it, money goes to J.K. fucking Rowling, who A, has way too much of it already, and B, is a horrible fucking person. She has decided that her legacy is to be that she really, really hates trans people. And yeah, yeah, I mean, there is a boycott on because, I mean, trans people in particular are just not having it. It's just she is such a fucking horrible person. She has decided that the what she really wants to go down for, what she really wants to go down in history as somebody who just really fucking hates trans people. And yeah. So, let's see. We've got a number of options here. Oh, well, she says horrible things about trans people. Basically, she allies herself quite openly with people who want all trans people to die. She probably does perpetuate the lost lesbians bullshit. I mean, she does. I mean, it's the whole thing they all do. It's they infantilize trans men and they demonize trans women. So, like, she wants trans women in particular to be, just banned from public space, banned from basically everything. And I mean, she's just a fucking horrible person. Okay, so what shall we roast? Hold on. I have to change stream information. And... oh, well, I mean, she probably just doesn't give a shit. Ula Saigre... Vollbild. There we go. We'll look at our options for tonight. We've got... yeah, I know. I mean, that's the thing. So much of this is such nonsense because they'll also say, actually, the idea is that they trans your kids so they won't be gay. And it's like, what about all the trans people who are only who would have been whose sexual orientation, had they not transitioned, would have made them straight as far as society was concerned? I think, there's separating the art from the artist, but there's also the question of should they be getting money for this? And the thing is, the art itself sucks shit. I mean, she had I don't know if it was her decision to have a neo-Nazi be the developer, but I mean, certainly the anti-Semitism in the game is just ramped up to 100. It's like, on the one hand, philosophically, I guess you can kind of say the artist and the art are separate. But here it's a separate thing entirely because we're talking about the money that they make off of it. And, whether you can philosophically say the art and the artists are separate, the idea is that she shouldn't be making money off of this. And that's why there's a boycott on. Okay, what shall we roast? We've got Tim Pool talking about bogus the so-called end to the COVID-19 emergency. Yeah, I mean, she's just like she's allied herself with just the absolute worst people. I mean, if you didn't know before you got it, you didn't know. But I mean, and people find out about things when they find these things out. But yeah, I mean, if you look into just her transphobia, I mean, for a few years ago, she would be very coy about it, and she'd be like, she would like some viciously transphobic tweet, and then she'd say, "Oh, I must have had a senior moment. I had no idea I'd like that." And then a couple years later, she was just being just open about it, saying, trans women are men and all that sort of thing, and maybe something should be done about them and that sort of shit. So okay, we've got a couple of shorts from PragerU. The Moral Case from Mockery, coming from the apparently the editor in chief of the Babylon Bee, which tries to do satire, except it doesn't. It doesn't do that thing. It isn't. Right wing comedy just never fucking works because it's just right wingers saying right wing things. Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, it really does suck. Like a whole lot of early on, a whole lot of trans people who really who were also just big Harry Potter fans really tried to engage with her. Like, I mean, does she know what kind of harm she's dealing with this sort of shit? And she would just be so fucking dishonest about it. And ultimately, she just decided that she wants to be obsessed with trans people. Okay, we've got Steven Crowder blatantly JQs on Tim Pool, which apparently now JQ is a fucking verb, which I'm not keen on that. I mean, why don't you say is blatantly anti-Semitic on Tim Pool? Why do we have to make it a verb like that? It starts to sound like it's just something you can do casually. Oh, okay. What's the question? I mean, I'm trying to get better at distinguishing between questions that can be answered relatively quickly and questions that are best for the Discord. So this may turn out to be one that's better for the Discord, but go ahead and ask. We'll find out afterwards. If it's something that I can't involves a really long discussion, verbing weirds language. That is so true. Then we'll just do that on the Discord, and otherwise I'll just give you my best answer about it here. What America could be. That actually sounds like it could be even more ridiculous than the usual PragerU fare. Like the different views within Islam, you mean? So, what was the question? Oh, here we go. Uh, um, I'm not sure. Like you mean you mean rules within religious rules within Islam, or how do you mean? Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, the thing about and I think that I mean, when it comes to religions, there's so many different ways in which the things are practiced. I mean, there's enough of it that is beautiful and enough of it is that is depressing in pretty much any direction you go in. I mean, you've got, yeah, I mean, like take Christianity. You've got a 2,000 year tradition of robbery, oppression, genocide, and imperialism. But then you've got people all throughout the history of Christianity who are also trying to make something good out of it. And so you've got, I mean, in all of these traditions, you've got, I mean, the thing to start out with is there's millions of people, and all of them have their own fucking take on it. Okay.
You don't need me to tell you what America's problems are. Plenty of people can do that.
Then why are we listening to you? Okay, and what the hell is take charge? Let's find out who this fool is. Kendall Qualls. Okay. He is a Republican candidate for governor in 2022. What is Kendall Qualls take charge. What? Okay. Here's his LinkedIn. An organization that promotes the promise of America is available to everyone regardless of race or social standing. So just bullshit, basically. Okay, this guy's in charge of bullshit. That's the trouble. So, I mean, there's so many different messages that won't send Jesus. Yeah, just send it on the Discord. This seems like a Discord question. It seems like this is going to get really, really long and involved. And as far as I'm concerned, that's what the Discord is good for.
Instead, let me tell you about America's future, what it can be. I'm not making a prediction, but there's a new golden age waiting for us if we do just 5 things.
Okay, define golden age. Like, are we talking, the golden age of the climate falling apart? Or the golden age, I mean, the golden age of this pandemic going on forever and just fucking just fucking up everybody? What are the 5 things? Let's find out what the 5 things are. There are 5 things to do a new golden age, and I'm just reminded of an episode of the Tom Baker episodes of Doctor Who, where they show up on this planet, where every few days they're announcing a new golden age, where all sorts of commodities suddenly become available, and spoiler alert, but this aired 50 years ago, so I don't think I'm spoiling it for anyone. It turns out that the planet isn't so much a planet as a spaceship that lands on other planets and plunders all of their resources, and that's what the Golden Ages are.
1. Reconnect with our Judeo-Christian roots.
In other words, be anti-Muslim. See, okay, Judeo-Christian is such a bullshit term. I mean, the idea is to create this see, this is a term fundamentalist Christians in the U.S. Invented to do 2 things. One was to just launder their anti-Semitism. Okay, Judeo-Christian is just, it's a term, it means non-Muslim, basically, when you get down to it. It's the ideas that supposedly Judaism and Christianity have all this stuff in common, which no, they really, really don't. Judaism actually, pretty much, there's no tradition of Judaism that doesn't have considerably more in common, including common history with Islam, that it does with Christianity. There's a huge difference there. So the idea is that it's Jews and Christians were always just so wonderfully harmonious, and then these fucking, and then Muslims showed up, and they're not part of our society. And it's just such bullshit. It's something right-wingers do, in order to whitewash their anti-Semitism and try to suggest that Jews should get over the fact that they're anti-Semitic in order to join them in hurting Muslims.
In this vision of the future, a majority of Americans realize we have to return to the basics.
What, like, so that labor is entitled to all it creates?
A new appreciation of traditional Judeo-Christian values takes place.
What are traditional I mean, what, Christians killing and Jews dying? Like, like, give me an example of a single fucking Judeo-Christian value.
Call it a new awakening. We became an exceptional nation because we were largely a self-governing nation.
What do you mean largely? What is that largely meant to be? Like, I just randomly remember this one time when Bill O'Reilly once tried to claim that Christianity is a philosophy, not a religion. Yeah, and I mean, like, lots of anti-Muslim, like, far-right propagandists will say, Islam's actually an ideology, not a religion, and that's not how any of that works. But what is a largely self-governing nation? I mean, either the state is independent or it's not, surely, unless the idea here, perhaps, is to say largely because you're acknowledging that the majority of the population for most of the history of the country was denied even the pretense of self-government.
The first in human history.
The first what? Okay, that's not. What the hell does that any of that mean? It's the first largely self-governing nation in human. I don't understand even what the hell he's talking about.
The U.S. Constitution begins with the phrase "We the people,"
which was it was a big lie, and that's why they used a bigger font for it.
But self-government only works if we are a moral country.
Well, okay.
And to be that, we need to appreciate the source of our values, the Bible.
Okay, that's we're already getting some problems with the Judeo-Christian notion here because that's not the source that I think most Jews would actually say our values come from.
Our second president, John Adams, understood this right from the beginning. Our Constitution, he wrote, was made only for a moral and religious people.
Let's find out first of all, did he actually say that? Our Constitution was made only for a moral... Okay. This quote is from, the first thing that comes out is Regent University. This is his address. Okay, this is the National Archives. So he's speaking to the officers of the 1st Brigade of the 3rd Division of the Militia of Massachusetts in 1798. We have no government armed with power capable of contending with human passions unbridled by morality and religion. Avarice, ambition, and revenge or gallantry would break the strongest cords of our Constitution as a whale goes through a net. Our Constitution was... Okay. But what's interesting in this... it's a legit quote. I'll drop the link in the... But he doesn't say anything about the Bible. I mean, the thing that is left out in all this is that the founding aristocrats were deists, a lot of them. They weren't strictly, they weren't certainly Christians in the sense that fundamentalist Christians are Christians. Though they did come from a Christian tradition, which is part of why they sucked.
It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. Of course, this doesn't mean that you have to follow a specific religion or any religion at all.
You just said it was about getting back to specific religious values.
That's your constitutional right. But it does mean that as a society, we recognize Judeo-Christian values as our moral compass.
that doesn't work because either you're following a religion, or in this case, a bullshit amalgam of two religions that nobody even tries to make work. Nobody ever actually tries to explain how this is that it works in practice, because the things Judaism and Christianity are just foundationally different. Judaism is not. I mean, Christianity is all about the faith, and it's all about like the primacy of Scripture and all that sort of thing. I mean, there's a lot more than that. It's a complicated fucking mosaic. But Judaism's never really been about that. Faith isn't really a thing. It's about practice. Yeah, there are a couple of things you're supposed to do, and most of us kind of ignore most of them. Or all of them in some cases. And mostly it's a whole different thing. Yeah, so there is a there, but it does not really. For one thing, we're using a bit of equivocation here. We, as religious as John Adams would have meant it then, is not necessarily religious as people would mean it here.
Point it in the right direction, a new sense of civility returns.
Oh, yeah, because if there's one thing that really characterizes the relations between Jews and Christians over the past couple of thousand years, it's the civility.
Politics remains as fractious as ever, but our debates are more about policy than personality.
Well, except that you've been saying, I mean, all along that if we disagree with the policy, that's cancel culture and censorship.
More constructive and less bitter.
Well, yeah, the thing is that people are bitter for a reason. It's because they're getting comprehensively screwed over, and then told that everything's fine.
2, we take control of our children's education. In this renewed America, moms and dads demand to be informed about exactly what their children are learning.
That it wasn't a secret to begin with. Oh, by the way, Citations Needed podcast did a wonderful thing on how far back this whole parents' rights bullshit goes, and how it has always been like a stalking horse for right wingers. Like when they started trying to pass child labor laws in the U.S., groups were formed to claim that requiring kids to be able to get an education and not being forcing them to work in the mines was against parents' rights.
They don't take no for an answer. They get themselves elected to local school boards to make sure their wishes are enforced.
And what if what they're teaching is what they want taught is bullshit?
Values-centered private schools, charter schools.
God, values-centered. Yeah, the value of the profits of the owners of the fucking school.
Online schools and homeschools sprout up all over the country. Public schools stop being warehouses and become real places of learning.
Yeah, except then you would need to start funding them properly, and that's not something that PragerU's interested in.
Proficiency in reading, writing, and math become our preoccupation rather than subjects like racial grievance, gender identity, and global warming.
Wait, why exactly can't we talk about history, fucking gender, and global warming? I mean, that science is kind of an important thing to know about, and we are really, in the last, according to the IPCC, we've got less than a decade to, for a last-ditch attempt to get emissions down to fucking, like, zero net, and start finding ways to take carbon out of the air in order to avoid the absolute worst of climate change. So yeah, maybe not. This is not a great time to be ensuring that kids are even more ignorant about that. I mean, I get the idea. I mean, a surprise is fun. It's fun to be surprised. And you tell the kids that there's nothing going wrong with the climate, and then, they grow up and there's fucking brush fires in Paris. It's a surprise, it's neat, but also it sucks because the planet is fucking dying.
Music and art appreciation make a comeback.
You've been defunded. Okay, the whole reason. Okay, art and music have been defunded systematically in the schools by right wingers of both parties. And in fact, these days they get a backseat specifically because the whole idea, first through No Child Left Behind, George Bush's thing, and then Obama's RAT program, that RAT stands for Race to the Top, was all about, you're going to make these kids cram for fucking bullshit standardized tests, that the results of which only actually correlate with the number of kids getting subsidized lunches every day at school.
So do dress codes.
The dress codes already exist. That's not a dress code. What you're describing there is actually just a fucking uniform.
Discipline and test scores improve. 3?
In their like fucking fantasy world, the improvement of test scores only gets up to an A-.
We laugh cancel culture out of existence.
Well, it's not in existence already. I don't think I think you could do that without laughing. Because fucking David Chappelle, who has not done anything funny since about 2002, managed to won a Grammy over like yet another fucking stand-up routine where he gets like very mild, uncomfortable laughter for being transphobic. Hang on a second. Hey, Gengaros. And yeah, because let's means test whether... I mean, the thing is, it's like... The tests... I mean, they don't even... The people who sell the test to people don't even point out that that's what the tests are actually measuring. That all they're really measuring is how many poor people they've got in the school. But... Because that would give the game away.
America regains its sense of humor. Hypersensitive reactions to perceived slights.
Were perceived slights, so what about the real slight? So if it's a real slight, it's okay?
Are no longer taken seriously. We're able to tell a harmless joke without worrying about being hauled into the Human Resources Office.
So, be more racist, basically. Yeah, I mean, it is bullshit. I mean, the whole thing is just... I mean, these ridiculous standardized tests, they've basically hollowed out the content of education. And the best part is, if you look, the rich fucks who were pushing this agenda from the start, if you look at where they send their kids to school, it is the exact opposite of where they want to send our kids. Their kids are going to these humanistic schools that are very big on liberal arts stuff and self-development and all sorts of things like that. And then they send our kids to fucking schools that have with like the no excuses charter school. Yeah, me too. I went although I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so I wasn't there for No Child Left Behind. It sucked even before that, though.
And if we've gone too far, we're quietly told to be more self-aware, and the matter is dropped.
That's what people are currently claiming is cancel culture now.
Lessons learned. With the pressure off, the office environment improves, employees stop walking on eggshells, and productivity increases.
Well, that's really what's important, isn't it? That we get the most labor out of the fewest workers. That's just a wonderful vision for the future. Thank you for giving the game away there.
The spoiled brats lose influence.
Well, the only way that's going to happen is if we seize the means of production from them. Are you saying that we're going to do communism?
A new Saturday Night Live appears, one that pokes fun at everyone. And anyone, right and left.
Just one that sucks even more than it already does.
And it's a huge success.
Yeah, see, I love the idea. I mean, they keep on talking about this over and over on PragerU. This idea that actually people don't, it's a conspiracy why these companies, these big media companies and these film companies and all this stuff are, trying to be somewhat less racist and have a little bit more like representation of queer people and people of color or whatever. No, that's not how any of that works. The reason they're doing all that is because they've figured out that if they want to get people watching, they have to do that. Because the people who they're trying to make money off of care about those things.
4. We become energy independent and secure our supply lines. America becomes the world's dominant energy producer.
So we're just kind of leading into climate change at this point.
Not only do we produce more than enough energy for ourselves, but we produce enough to help our allies. We do it by responsibly developing our almost limitless natural resources.
Yeah, almost limitless is an interesting way of just saying limited.
We also greatly expand our nuclear power industry. Small and very safe next-generation nuclear power plants provide more clean energy every year.
Well, I mean, they're not going to be very safe unless you're also swapping the economic system that they operate in. Because the whole reason that they're so unsafe as it is, notice that he has to say that make very safe a feature of next generation nuclear power plants. That's because nobody seriously thinks the current generation are all that great because, the industry, like the operators of these plants can't even get private insurance. The private insurance industry won't touch them. They have to get subsidized by the government, specifically because it's just not a good risk. And that's because in order to operate them profitably, you absolutely have to cut corners on something, and that's going to be safety.
Meanwhile, private business realizes the advantages of producing products from pharmaceuticals to heavy machinery in the United States.
In other words, wages go down so low in the U.S. that the shipping costs the shipping cost of having the stuff made in low-wage manufacturing platforms in China, Indonesia, Vietnam, Latin America, etc., actually ends up biasing the whole thing in favor of just employing low-wage workers here.
The government does all it can to
I live next door to that state.
encourage this boom, easing onerous regulations.
In other words, yeah, get rid of the minimum wage, get rid of what's the joke that is OSHA, because
insisting on fair trade agreements.
In other words, the U.S. gets everything it wants, and the people in the other country, and the working class in the U.S. and the working class in the countries that are making these agreements with, all take a bath.
And when necessary, imposing strategic tariffs. Along with this economic growth comes growth in personal income.
That's not how that works. I mean, if economic growth and growth in personal income actually were well linked to each other, we'd have seen that. I mean, in particular, productivity. I mean, he's acting like productivity is a problem. Productivity has been fucking steep. The climb in productivity since like the 1970s is extremely steep. Now, if you compare that to non-managerial real wages, i.e. the wages of most workers adjusted for inflation, what you find is productivity has been going up like this, and most people's incomes are basically like this, just flatlining. Yeah, exactly. Well, actually, these right-wingers, they kind of don't like NAFTA, except for the part where allowed them to screw labor standards. It's like they like it, but they don't like it. They have a complicated relationship in their propaganda with these trade agreements.
People feel prosperous again.
Feel because they are not.
5. Marriage becomes the cool and smart thing to do.
Who cares?
Young women realize devoting themselves to a career is not a substitute for good marriage and family.
Fun fact. There are interesting studies on the effect of marriage on longevity in men and women. In men, married men live longer and have fewer physical and mental health complaints than single men. When it comes to women, on the other hand, single women live longer and have fewer mental health and physical health complaints than married women. Marriage is actually a pretty good deal for men, by and large, and often not, and often not so hot for women.
They start dating with intention to find a good man.
What do you think the intention? I mean, what you think the intention right now is to find a bad one? You don't have to look hard to find a bad one. Look, I'm looking at one right now.
And men respond by once again defining manhood as marrying and taking care of a wife and family. The studies turn out to be true. Marriage leads to more financial success, more personal fulfillment, a greater sense of purpose than living alone in pursuit of career goals.
What's funny, notice that he's not actually giving us an actual study.
The marriage rate goes up across all races, and the average age that people get married goes down.
Why is that a good thing? So I thought you claimed to be interested in education. Now you're suggesting that maybe the people are going to start getting married in high school or some bullshit. Why is that good?
Reversing a 50-year trend. Both men and women are happier and experience less depression than the previous generation.
That's not how any of that works, because the reason that that trend has been going that way over 50 years is a couple reasons. One thing, a lot of women have realized that being obsessed with marriage early on is with getting married early was not particularly fulfilling, and in fact depressing, and ended up being with them being in relationships that they regretted having ever entertained the thought of being part of. And actually, it turns out it's kind of better for everybody when marriage is actually relatively easy to get out of and people are a bit circumspect about getting into it, and maybe the whole institution just needs to be completely rethought.
5 action steps to a new American century.
Those weren't really actions, it was mostly just fantasies. Like, I mean, okay, so there's the action of being more like racist and misogynistic and transphobic and homophobic and stuff. That was an action step, but the rest of it was like just fantasy, like that right wingers are going to wake up one morning and it's going to be 1952, except it will be a special fantasy 1952 where everybody is happy about what 1952 is about.
We return to our Judeo-Christian roots. Take control of our kids' education, laugh cancel culture into oblivion. Become energy independent, make marriage cool again.
Yeah, not really action steps for the most part. Like,
we don't have to pass any laws.
Well, you kind of would. I mean, in fact, some of the things you specifically said involved getting rid of certain laws, which requires passing
raise
laws.
Any taxes. We just need the will, the courage, and grit to create a better future.
Will courage grit? I don't know, but I have a gritter here. We could put some courage through it and see if it grits.
Can we make it happen?
Probably not.
That's up to you. But I'll bet on America anytime.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it great that we have such educational content from... This is like more vacuous. This is more vacuous than the usual PragerU thing. I mean, usually PragerU is just vapid as fuck. But this is like double the usual vapidity. Okay. We've got 14 minutes to go tonight. And... do something short. Which one of those things is worth advocating for? I couldn't see any. I mean, for one thing, a lot of the things were like not things that it seems like are even possible to advocate because they're not even actions. It's just like a social trend of people like forgetting everything that people have learned since about 1952. Which thing are you thinking of?
Bad ideas are everywhere.
But nowhere can you find them more concentrated than on PragerU.
Spreading like viruses, infecting every area of our lives.
Which is kind of funny because when it comes to actual viruses, they want to spread them everywhere. But now they're going to act like they're into stopping viruses.
Driving millions of otherwise rational people to embrace the irrational.
This is from the editor-in-chief of a fundamentalist Christian satire site. I mean, rationalism is not exactly his thing.
Here's one obvious example. It illustrates a broader point I want to make about, of all things, the moral importance of mockery. Ready for this? We're told by so-called experts with straight faces that men can become women.
Well, yes, because that's just fucking true. And in fact, it's not so much that men are becoming women as that sometimes female people are assigned male at birth because human diversity is interesting like that, and our society is reactionary as fuck, and can't consider the possibility of maybe waiting on gendering somebody until they're capable of actually expressing a preference.
And women can become men. We're told that sex is assigned at birth.
Which it literally is.
Rather than observed.
But it isn't. In fact, if you wanted to actually observe it, you'd have to do way more than just look between somebody's legs.
As if doctors just make their best guess whenever they see a newborn baby.
That's literally what happens, though.
We're told.
And then when you have, like... And it's interesting, for all the concern trolling over trans kids being given gender-affirming care, when you look at these laws, the genocidal laws that ban, like, best practices healthcare for trans kids and sometimes for trans adults as well, they will have exceptions to ensure that it continues to be legal to mutilate the genitals of intersex people.
Men can become pregnant and chest feed.
Well, they literally do, though. I mean, you just...
These aren't fringe ideas promoted by radicals on Reddit.
There's notorious radicals on Reddit. They're just facts.
They're mainstream, endorsed by once respected medical organizations.
So when medical organizations point out something that the august editor-in-chief of the Babylon Bee doesn't like, they're once respected.
Highly educated doctors and popular internet wellness sites. Go to healthline.com and type in, "Can men get pregnant?" You'll find this answer.
Yes, it's possible for men to become pregnant and give birth to children of their own, and in order to explain, you need to break down some common misconceptions. Yes, because trans men exist.
Yes, it's possible for men to become pregnant and give birth to children of their own. In order to explain, we'll need...
But why stop here? Why not look at the rest of it? I'm now going to go to healthline.com, you see. And where's the search engine? I don't see this search engine where you can just ask questions like this. I'm beginning to think that doesn't exist. I've never seen this website. I've never heard of this fucking website. Health conditions. Discover. Connect. Yeah, okay, this is just bullshit. That's not how this website even works.
Need to break down some common misconceptions about how we understand the term man. So the people who just told us men can get pregnant are going to clear up misconceptions for us?
Yeah, well, yes, because clearly some misconceptions need to be cleared up.
I don't think so. It would be bad enough if these ideas were merely popular, but they've quickly gone from mainstream to mandatory.
That's simply, it is absolutely buck wild. At a time when you have multiple states literally criminalizing the existence of trans people. Don't make no mistake, I think most people in chat have no trouble seeing through this bullshit about it supposedly just being about drag. With the way they define drag, it applies to like all trans people. All trans people who are out fall under these laws that make drag a crime. But supposedly they're mandatory.
You can't criticize them.
Yeah, well, they're literally criminalizing them right now.
You can't even joke about them.
Well, no, you can't joke. That's because you just suck at comedy.
Comedians risk being canceled.
Which means that you get a Grammy and $100 million fucking special deals from Netflix.
And in some cases physically attacked for doing so. In a twisted way, this all kind of makes sense. In order to prop up an insane worldview that can't be defended, or even coherently articulated, you have to insulate it from criticism.
You mean sort of like the way that schools are trying to ban any acknowledgement of the racism inherent in U.S. history? You mean that sort of thing? Like the whole critical race theory thing that you all pretended to be fucked up about?
Especially the comedic kind that employs mockery to expose foolishness. It's embarrassing to be exposed as a fool.
And he would know. I mean, he's the editor of Babylon Bee. He's got a lot of experience being exposed as a fool.
So it can't be tolerated. My team at the Babylon Bee learned this.
They haven't actually made it a crime. There are bills in various states that make it illegal for a person to be in public wearing clothes associated with a gender other than the one they were assigned at birth. Some of them make it, like, they ban drag performances, but, like, if a trans person gets up in public and just talks about the book that they wrote or something like that, that would count as a drag performance and they're going to prison. It hasn't actually, to my knowledge, none of these laws have actually passed yet. But they're in a number of states they're currently being debated, and they look like they're probably going to. At least a couple of them probably will. Oh, what's so bizarre about the canceling bullshit?
It's the hard way when we made a joke about Rachel Levine, a transgender health admiral in the Biden administration.
Oh, what was their joke? Let's see how hilarious this was. Babylon Bee, Rachel Levine. So the joke is the Babylon Bee's Man of the Year is Rachel Levine. This is hilarious because you see they just called her a man. That's offensive to that's hurtful to trans people. That makes it funny. This is why this guy is a recognized expert on the subject of comedy, because he called a trans woman a man. Because nobody ever thought to do that before. And the fun thing is, they're much less likely. It's not even getting yelled at a lot of the time. It's just a lot of the time, it might escalate to that. But it starts out with, hey dude, that what you said was actually kind of fucked up. That sort of thing hurts a lot of people, and it's also not true or something like that. And people try to reason with them and stuff. And then they say no, fuck you, and other people and double down on it, and then maybe it escalates.
USA Today had named Rachel Levine one of their Women of the Year.
I mean, yeah, because she's a woman.
They were serious.
Well, yes, because she's a woman.
But Rachel Levine is no more a woman than I am.
Well, I didn't know that. I'm sorry for assuming. I just kind of thought. I mean, the beard and all. What's great is this guy is a top person at a so-called comedy website, and he hasn't said anything funny yet. And the funniest thing about him is that he looks like the evil mirror universe version of Thought Slime.
So we fired back with this satirical headline. The Babylon Bee's Man of the Year is Rachel Levine.
It's funny because it's just, it's hurtful. Because that's, like, all they know how to do.
The mockery, of course, was of USA Today, not the Admiral.
Yeah, right. That was totally just mocking the newspaper. Just fucking own your bullshit, dude. I mean, if you're going to insult somebody like that, if you're going to call a trans woman a man, at least have the fucking balls, have the fucking courage to admit that what you're doing is insulting a trans person.
Twitter, pre-Elon, was not amused.
Twitter is still not amused, except you get banned.
They
Oh,
locked
yeah.
our account for hateful conduct.
Well, yes. I mean, it's a rarity, but every once in a while, somebody says something so egregious that the normally pro-Nazi hell site Twitter will their fucking marketing people start to duck and cover, and so they have to take some kind of action and enforce their terms of service.
Delete the joke, they said, and you can have your account back.
And the answer, of course, is what joke? It wasn't a joke. There's no joke in that.
We refused. The intolerable truth you're not allowed to speak is that Rachel Levine actually misgenders himself.
Oh, fuck you.
Whenever he calls himself a woman. And pointing that out, no matter how it's done, is not hateful conduct.
Well, yes, it is. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it. And also, it's not a fucking joke. I mean, apart from just being just hideous, it's not a fucking joke. I mean, a joke, there's a structure to a joke. It has to have some kind of a punchline or something like that. This was just calling a trans woman a man. It's just an insult.
Because the truth is not hate speech. But this is how the system is rigged to safeguard bad ideas. The leftists who dominate our media and culture are armed.
Wow, yeah, the leftists who dominate our media and culture, right.
Armed with both a sword and a shield. They can call anyone who differs with them a bigot, a transphobe, a Nazi.
Well, so what you're saying is that they can say true things. They can say facts. I thought, see, that's the difference, because what they're doing there is they're saying facts, whereas you were just insulting a trans woman for being trans.
Doesn't matter. They know they'll never get banned. That's the sword.
That is such bullshit. Leftists get banned for just absolute nothing, and that's even without, even without the far-right mass reporting campaigns that happen all the fucking time. It is so much easier to get banned if you just for opposing Nazis than for being one.
But if you joke about the left's lunacy, you'll be suspended or even banned.
Well, fuck you. No, you won't.
For hateful conduct.
I mean, this is like when fucking PragerU claims that they're experiencing severe censorship. They're boosted by the algorithm that to them is censorship.
That's the shield. So how did we get to the point where it's considered hateful to tell the truth, even in jest?
Well, first of all, that wasn't a jest. It's like he has not said an actual. He hasn't actually made a joke yet. He's supposed to be the comedy guy. This is Babylon Bee. It's like Steven Crowder in print. And like Steven Crowder in print, it is managed by somebody who has no sense of humor and can't make jokes. It just is profoundly unfunny.
The answer is simple. We took bad ideas too seriously. Instead of laughing at absurd notions like men can get pregnant, or the
that's just a fact.
Planet will burn up in 10 years if we don't ban fossil fuels.
Which is not what actually anyone is claiming. What the fucking scientific consensus is that if we don't get our emissions down to net zero, it's not 10 years anymore. It was 10 years back in 2018. No, wait, let me see. Yeah, 2020 or something like that. It was by 2030. Then we will miss the last chance that we have to avoid the worst of climate change, and we will risk irreversible consequences. So it isn't that the planet will actually burn up in 10 years, it's that we will lose our last best chance, according to their understanding of it, to prevent that happening.
Or that morbid obesity is healthy, to name just a few. We tolerated them. The absurd has...
What fucking skin off of your nose is it if people point out that being fat isn't inherently unhealthy?
become sacred because it hasn't been sufficiently mocked.
Yeah, because if there's one group of people who just never gets mocked in this country, it's fucking fat people. Yeah, and nobody ever tells fat jokes. You don't know any fat jokes, because nobody ever tells fat jokes. Nobody's ever made fun of fat people.
But isn't mockery mean and cruel?
Yes, when you punch down, but the thing is, you're not even doing mockery. You're just doing insults. This is like if I did a satirical paper and just had a headline and it was "The Babylon Bee Sucks." Okay, I insulted the Babylon Bee. It's not a joke. I mean, at most, the joke would be you're expecting there to be a joke, and instead it's me just saying the Babylon Bee sucks, which is kind of funny because it's a surprise, but that's still better than what he did. It's still closer to actual comedy.
Well, that depends. We're not talking about mockery for the purpose of putting people down and making them feel bad.
You're literally two or three of your examples where you wanted to insult trans people and you wanted to insult fat people. So it sounds like maybe it is a little bit about making people feel bad. It was just milquetoast bullshit. I mean, just own your shit. I mean, yes, we want to be able to insult trans people and fat people, but we don't. But we don't. That doesn't mean we want to make them feel bad. It's like, yes, you do, and it would at least be more honest and less cowardly to admit that much.
We're talking about using it as a tool to expose foolishness for what it is.
Oh, see, what they're doing. This is the moral case for mockery. But, I mean, you haven't actually made the case that any of this is foolish. You've just said, there are certain facts that you deny.
So that it isn't taken seriously. Mockery of this kind is not only cleansing, it's a moral imperative.
I love it when white supremacists start talking about cleansing. That just makes me feel very safe.
Why? Because bad ideas can have catastrophic consequences.
Look at Christianity.
Ask any mutilated teen who now regrets having gender transition surgery.
Actually, a teen wouldn't have had gender transition surgery. Oh, I mean, that's literally not something, unless they're already over 18 and they had it, somehow were able to get it immediately on turning 18. But teenagers aren't fucking getting surgery. In fact, they're not even getting hormones for the most part. Mostly, they're just getting puberty blockers that postpone puberty and that have been used in all sorts of contexts for like 40 years now.
Or any married couple who didn't have children because of climate change.
Well, why aren't we... So what? I mean, they can still have fucking kids. Are you saying that the world actually is going to end soon, but it's not climate change, so it would be too late for them to change their minds and have kids?
Or any obese person who now has diabetes because being overweight is supposed to be okay.
Yeah, except that's not how that works.
Imagine if the ideas that produced these results had been laughed at instead of lauded.
Wait, you're laughing at somebody for regretting transitioning? That seems a bit fucked up.
So many things are off limits in comedy and culture now, and too many people think this represents progress.
Well, yes, the people who are used to being very much fair game think it's progress because at least some people have a bit of a moral objection to punching down now.
They think we've improved morally because we make fun of fewer things.
Because people understand the difference between punching up and punching down. I mean, what just gets me about this guy is he doesn't even, can you imagine this guy doing stand-up? I mean, you can't, because there is absolutely nothing funny about him, not intentionally. I mean, all he does is, his entire thing is, he's offended that society has moved on.
The truth is we're more confused than ever, because we've affirmed and accepted what should have been ridiculed and rejected.
Well, except the things that you're describing are all things that have been heavily ridiculed and rejected. I mean, there's a multi-billion-dollar industry denying climate change, slagging off trans people and fat people in particular. I mean, that's been tried, and it sucked. All it did was hurt people.
If our goal is moral improvement, we need more mockery, not less. I'm Seth Dillon, CEO of the Babylon Bee for Prager University.
Yeah, God. I mean, what this guy has... You can just tell that this guy has never actually told a joke that people recognized as a joke in his entire fucking life. And with that, it is time for me to wrap up for tonight, but I will be back at 11:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time for the next exciting episode of the Untitled Anarchist Seagull channel. If you enjoyed the stream, please consider paying for the stream, which you can do with the tip command. Right now, any contributions to the stream are going towards the crowdfunded translation of Chapter 1 of any direct contributions, that is, are going towards the crowdfunded translation of Chapter 1 of Alexandra Kalantai's Social Basis of the Female Question. Right now, I am currently working on translating the introduction, which it got fully funded earlier this week. And so, if you want to support that project, I very much appreciate it. It will bring the first full-length English translation of an important theoretical work into make that publicly accessible, and it also gives me something more interesting to do than my normal translation work, and covers the cost of me not doing that stuff. Have a good night. See you soon.